Living Declaration for the Dead by Michael Ryan Durr in the event of retaliation or harm to my person. For immediate media and public record. Cover-up Day 3795, no arrests, no accountability, no justice. Location Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Been physically threatened by death threat July 14, 2025 made on posting about real-life blog in Pennsylvania and seeking solutions for a decade-long miscarriage of justice. Therefore, this public universal statement on all platforms to amplify my voice to the collective serves as a living declaration in the event of any harm or death or disappearance befall me. The following unresolved matters ongoing since 2015, if silenced, should be understood as part of a broader conspiracy to obstruct justice and suppress the truth. Should anything happen to me, I place full responsibility on the individuals and institutions named herein, who have failed to uphold their legal obligations and are complicit in acts of cover-up, conspiracy, retaliation, and abuse of power. Michael Ryan Durr, living man, a documented male victim of institutional sexual abuse, have endured over 10 years of systemic retaliation, false imprisonment, and due process violations at the hands of state and county officials. I now speak not only for myself but on behalf of over 244,000 vulnerable individuals within the justice and mental health system who deserve protection, not persecution. Systemic failures and key questions: why, after more than 10 years, has there been no arrest with no real investigation and no public accountability for the following crimes and violations, despite clear documentation and corroborated evidence? 1. Institutional sexual abuse by Erica C. Conklin, formerly Yatsik. Conklin, my licensed mental health counselor at Gaudenzia MHU, falsely identified me as her boyfriend to law enforcement, initiating a fraudulent chain of criminal charges and a retaliatory PFA. Violations 18 Stat Section 3124.2 Institutional sexual assault, false reporting, perjury, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to defraud the Commonwealth. 2. Warrantless arrest by Officer David Barbone, now Chester Deputy Sheriff K-9 Unit, conducted unlawful arrest without probable cause, relied on hearsay, and filed a tainted affidavit. 3. False prosecution by Jessica R. Conley, parole prosecutor, prosecuted me without a PSI report, no Gagnon I hearing, violating parole protocols and due process. 4. Judicial misconduct and fraud by ADA Danielis Gallagher, Kristen A. Ferraro ESQ, and Keith Garrity Sr. ESQ, violated Brady obligations, misrepresented facts, filed false records, and shielded Conklin through manipulation of court processes. 5. Clerk of Courts Mary J. Walk actively ignored newly discovered exculpatory evidence and refused to correct or amend records based on factual fraud. 6. Former DAs John J. Whalen, Andrew A. Sheldon, and Verm Ham Jr. orchestrated false narratives, concealed exculpatory evidence, and weaponized prosecutorial discretion to protect insiders. 7. Parkside Police and Delaware County Sheriff's Office Chiefs Jerry L. Sanders Jr., John Egan, Thomas Murray, and McEwen ignored all reports, complaints, and witness statements implicating Officer Barbone and others. 8. Delaware County Public Defender's Office receptionists and supervisors dismissed my claims as a male victim, discouraged follow-up, and acted with hostility following ineffective legal counsel and public defender sabotage. All court-appointed bar member to obstructed access to evidence, failed to investigate the abuse, and allowed abuser to weaponize the court against me. 9. Negligent parole officers ignored critical PSI reports linking the accuser to a conflict of interest and failed to report or intervene. 10. Lieutenant Brian McNeil, Delaware County Park Police, informed in detail of my trauma and official misconduct, yet failed to take meaningful investigative steps regarding interference by Clerk of Courts and ADA staff. Legal contrast and newly discovered evidence. In 2023, Stephen Bruce, a Gaudenzia employee, was properly charged with institutional sexual misconduct. Yet, in 2015, a parolee mental health patient was wrongly portrayed as a staff member's boyfriend to fit a false narrative and criminalize me without any investigation into the staff member's misconduct. This discrepancy illustrates selective enforcement, malicious prosecution, and systemic manipulation of judicial authority, all intended to protect perpetrators and silence male victims. Systemic deceit and judicial impersonation. My declaration within this message directly challenges not only the legitimacy of Delaware County Court, but the lawfulness of the Commonwealth's entire proceeding involving a mental health patient under parole supervision falsely identified as a counselor's boyfriend. This fraudulent classification originated from Danielle Sierra Gallagher, ADA of the Special Victims Unit, and Erica C. Conklin, formerly Yatsik, a licensed counselor employed at a mental health unit. Let us be clear: exposing criminal conduct in real time. What masquerades as court in Delaware County is in truth coercion under color of law. When a so-called judge is in fact an administrative law judge presiding over matters outside the scope of Article 3 authority, they are engaging in felony impersonation of a constitutionally recognized judge for personal profit and state-sanctioned racketeering. Every word uttered by such a bench was not justice but bias and coercion. Judges may not argue for the state nor speak in its name. Yet, that is precisely what Delaware County officials have done, violating the boundaries of judicial neutrality, its judicial cosplay. A fraudulent performance charges warranted against Conklin and CO conspirators. 1. Institutional sexual assault. 18 Pennsylvania Code Section 3124.2. 2. Conspiracy to obstruct justice. 18 Pennsylvania Code Section 903. 3. False reports to law enforcement. 18 Pennsylvania Code Section 4906A. 4. Perjury and false swearing. 18 Pennsylvania Code Section 4902-4903. 5. Tampering with witness and public records. 6. Violation of PREA standards. Prison Rape Elimination Act. 7. Felony impersonation of Article 3 judicial officers for profit and racketeering under color of law. Case history and dockets. 8 CP 23 CR 000 1979-15 fraudulent plea obtained without jurisdiction. 9158-0318 PFA false PFA filed by Conklin under false identity. 1063-36-12 VOP Gagnon hearing unlawfully bypassed. 11 MD 21-15 and MD 24-15 criminal contempt without constitutional basis. 1223 BW 000001 8-201 2019 tainted warrant issued. 13 MJ 3212 8 CR 000076-2025 ongoing lawless docket advancing injustice. Relevant law and authorities. Brady v. Maryland 373 United States 83. Giglio v. United States 405 U.S. 150. Kiles v. Whitley 514 United States 419. Commonwealth v. Riggins 377 A.2d 140. Commonwealth v. Mayfield 832 A.2d 418. 234 Pennsylvania Code Rule 700 and 2,703,573 due process and Brady violations. Title 42 Pennsylvania Code Section 301 and 51, 03, and 95, 45, B, 1I, 3706C, 1, Appellate Relief. PA RAP 123, 1542 210 Pascal's Code Section 192 Title 204 PA Code 213.78. There is no legitimate right to silence me only upon evil motives. This declaration is both a legal notification and moral testimony. If anything happens to me, let this record show that it was never suicide, it was sanctioned silencing. My life has been threatened by indifference, my truth obstructed by those sworn to uphold the law, and still I speaking. Let it be known the record is corrected, the lie exposed, and the system indicted. Respectfully submitted in the public domain, Michael Ryan Durr, living man, survivor, advocate of his own rights. Date Monday, July 21, 2025. Location Delaware County Courthouse, 32nd Judicial District, Media, Pennsylvania.